Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry
Yes.
weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running, 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
Good morning, and good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yes, another Friday is here, and another gift that I'm going to get is here. Yes, it's all about me. No, I'm just kidding. You know, I don't go there. But I'm saying that because I'm loving when Fridays come now. I gotta really thank Pastor P. Because she's bringing the celebrities, she's bringing these co-authors in the house so we can get to know them. Does anybody understand what's going to happen in November? Do you know it's about to explode the first weekend of November? You're going to hear about this, but you just got to be ready. And what I mean by ready is ready to listen, to hear, and to, yes, I want to say it, invest. And what I mean by invest in you on November. And I know you're like, well, what is she talking about invest? What's she talking about something going on in November? Well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out. I want to keep you just a little bit, just like, let me see if she's going to answer that question. I will. I won't leave you hanging like that. But before we even bring on these wonderful authors, these gems, these celebrities, as I call them, and Mrs. I love when we first started, they started calling her Pastor P, and now I can't get out. I just can't stop saying it. I'm loving it. I am loving it. But just knowing her and knowing her heart and her golden heart of helping these people that bring in their stories into a book that's going to create such an impact in the world. I just, you cannot help just feel the joy and just the sensation of saying, you know what, there's going to be some lives saved through these stories that people are saying in this book. So that's what I'm saying. Is this on a serious note? It's time. We need to show ourselves out here. We need to let people know, basically what we went through, because people are looking for people to connect with, to say, hey, am I out here all by myself? Am I dealt with some things in my life and I'm the only one? How do I get through it? Well, you're going to hear Royalty today talk about that. But before we bring them on, I've got to do something a little positive here, give you something to think about during the day and during the weekend. So here is a thought. I love this. This goes right into being worthy. You are born worthy. Your worth is intertwined with your very being. That means that who you are, the uniqueness you have in you are worthy of being on this earth. I keep telling people, you're not on this earth just for an accident. You're on this earth for a purpose. The concept of your self-worthy is reinforced by your actions. I am not talking about self-esteem. That is simply how you feel about yourself at any given point. Your worth is not your intelligence, talents, looks, etc. Your worth is measured as a child of the universe of God. You are a special part of the universe. Every time you appreciate yourself, treat yourself kindly, broaden your horizons, or see that your own needs are met, you are recognized with value. Today, awaken to be inspired, and we are going to be inspired today by these wonderful, wonderful gifts, by the worth that is inside of them and inside of you. So remember, you are worthy. You are worthy no matter what anyone says. You are worthy because you're here in this appointed time. And I just want you to know that, because a lot of times, especially now, people are second guessing themselves with everything's going on. I keep telling people the earthquakes and floods of life just steps us up for stepping stones of strength. Stepping stones of strength in your life to move you forward in what you have to do. Now, sometimes it don't feel good. I know we're going to be, hey, we're human and we have emotionals going on in ourselves, with the emotions going on, right? But overall, it helps us get to that next level. It makes us stronger. So you're going to hear that. So now I just can't and I know Pastor P's down there. I see her in the virtual room. I see all the wonderful people in the virtual room down there. Virtual green room, as I call it. But I can't bring on Royalty. Just say, okay, they're here. They're on the screen. I got to bring them the right way. So here we go. Ta-da! Uh-oh, I hear some feedback. Hello, lovely, lovely people this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Uh-oh.
Good morning.
Everybody's like, Barbara, you got us up this early in the morning. What are you building to?
It's all good. We're glad to be here.
And you want us to talk. Yes, I do. And just like Pastor P said, it is awesome for you to be here this morning. I appreciate you. I always want to start off by that because it is early. I mean, we're all in some different time zones. And I know with Pastor P, she's what? What you're in California? You're like 6 o'clock there, like 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
something right there. And
Yeah.
she's been coming on. Okay, I just got to give her some. Well, I'm going to give her a lot of love, but the biggest love is she's been coming on every Friday with her wonderful gems, these co-authors in this book, just being right by their sides. So what you see? What can you say about that? Some people be like, you know what? I got you a spot. Get on there. I'll see you when I see you. But she's not like that. She's like, no, I'm coming on just with my authors, make sure everything's okay, and we're good to go. I think we're going back and forth losing George, but that's okay. Technology is our friend, and it's going to work itself out. We're going to keep doing this. So I want to first say congratulations to each and every one of you. You are, and some of you are more than 1 or 3 times an author in a book to basically change the world. That's what I say, change the world. So thank you for being a contributor. Welcome being an author. Again, if it's your second time or third time, because I know some people are they have their own book and they've been in other books. So putting that pen to the paper and putting that out there. So what we're going to do, I want to start off by just having you introduce yourselves so we can just get to know you a little bit. Introduce yourself, let us know where you're from, and then we'll kind of get in more detail about like your book and some other things that I kind of throw in there. Just kind of have a little fun with everybody this morning. Can we do that? So let's start off. Yeah. So I want to leave Pastor P last, even though she's first, because she's the one that was visionary. But we're gonna make her last day. I want to bring on these co-authors, these gems as I call you. So let's start. I'm going to start off with George.
Oh wow!
I know.
I was raised in Texas, right? So we always let ladies go first.
Oh, that's so
But I'm
sweet.
more
See,
than
that's what I'm talking about.
willing to open it up. Yeah, I'm here in I didn't have to get up nearly as early as you. Thank you, Paulette. I'm here in Virginia, Fort Virginia, and I'm George Milton. I am the author of Failure is Not the Problem, It's the Beginning of Your Success, and have enjoyed this venture with Paulette on this endeavor. So really excited about getting to know everyone and to have a robust conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you. Yes, we're going to hear a bit more with George. And you know what? I am going to skip to, is it Lilia? Lilia? Just want to make sure I say it right. Did I say it correct?
Yes, you're fine.
Yes. Yes, Princess, Queen. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and just to say hi for right now.
Yes, my name is Lilian Kish. My parents originally from South Sudan. I was born in Uganda, live in refugees camp for 15 years. In 2005, I have the opportunity to come to US. So now I live in a beautiful place, Iowa.
Boy, that's a big difference from when you came to Iowa. Wow. Well, you looking pretty, Queen, looking pretty this morning. And Mr. James. Mr. James. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is James. Calling from Los Angeles, California. 6:20 a.m. Bright and early. Very, very happy to be here. So thank you for having me, and my co-authors, and Pastor Paulette as well. A bit about myself. I'm a second-time writer after this contribution here. I wrote my first book, The Light Through the Pouring Rain. Work with troubled youth, mentorships, trying to give back as much to the community as possible, as much volunteer work as possible, just trying to do, God's work. So that's a little bit about myself.
Thank you so much, James. Yes, you're doing some good work and you're up early in the morning, so I appreciate it. So see, I always tell people, you know what, when you really are wanting to do some, put stuff to action, you do what you have to do, no matter what time it is. And that's why, you're to the next level of success, because a lot of people could have, like you said, could have been asleep, didn't whatever. But you decide to say, you know what, I'm coming on this show. I want to talk about the book. I want to talk about myself. I want to make sure people understand that this book is important. not just individually, but collectively. And why I want to go right to Pastor P with that, because Mrs. Oh my God, award winning. I love saying that about her. Award winning author. And she's also an author in the book. Come on now. she not only put it together, the visionary, she put the book together. She's in the book too. And I'm like, now how do you find that type of time with everything else going on? And she's out there just campaigning. I see her everywhere. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, where's Pastor P? Oh, she's over there. She's over there. She's doing that. That's what I'm talking about. She's visible everywhere so people can know who she is and what this book's about. So, Mrs. Award-winning lady, introduce yourself, lady.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Barbara, for having us on this morning. And I'm excited about being here and bringing the authors to your platform. I'm Pastor P, Coach Paulette, and I have written 12 books, and this is my 4th anthology. I absolutely love doing what I do. I coach, I speak. For such a time as this I'm real honored to bring that to the global world, and then also bringing all these authors who come along with me on this journey to share their stories of ups and downs, transformation, defying the odds, but trying to really speak their truth, and then bringing light to what they've gone through, but also inviting others to go on the journey so they can, experience the freedom that these authors are writing about. And so I'm thankful to you for allowing us to come and share about our chapters, talk about the journey, and then where we're headed in November.
Yes, and it's right. Can you believe it's right around the corner? This is like October 15th. Can you believe how quick that is? You're going to look up the best time seller. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It has gone pretty fast, and so, we're here. In a few more weeks, we will drop for such a time as this on November the 9th. And I'm really excited about bringing the authors on this experience, because it's amazing to see what God is doing and going to do next month.
Yeah, definitely. Now, before we get into these wonderful kings and queens on the panel, talk about a little bit more about this, dig a little bit deeper to see where you're at, because I always tell people, you just didn't start off by being these brilliant impactors of the world. I mean, we went through some, highs and lows to get to this place. So I'm going to kind of ask you a little bit about that. But before we go there, Pastor P, I just want to ask you, and this is one question I didn't get a chance to ask on the other interviews, is for such a time as this, why did you pick that particular title for this book?
Yes, for such a time as this comes from Esther chapter 4, verses 14. For this purpose, you have been created for such a time as this. And so I really believe that scripture resonated with, of course, all the 20 other authors that, are on this journey with me. And then just realizing what we've gone through in life. And there's always a purpose for everything that happens to us, regardless of how bad it was, because what really matters is how we end. At the end of the day, it's how we use those lessons and trials to really allow it to develop us. And so for such a time as this is one of those books that you'll see and read about readers or authors who have really purposefully, intentionally moved through life. And they're at a place right now that this is the reason why they know they've been created, to share their stories, to move in their uniqueness, to be creators, to, bring others along the journey with them. So I think it's befitting of a title. And it really resonated with all of the authors who are on the journey with me.
Awesome. I love that, especially that you reached. It's a biblical saying too. Such a time as this, like you said, you reached in Esther. And I was just thinking. I had a little conversation with my cousin the other day, and she was really explaining to me. And I know Les Brown says this a lot too. She was like, Barbara, we need to look at not so much we're born and then, eventually in life, we're going to pass away and go to the next level. She said, but what are people doing in that middle, that dash in the middle? And she said, we only have that time right now. So then I was thinking, as soon as she said that, your book popped in my head because I was thinking, such a time as this. Yeah, you're right. We need to make sure that what we're doing, that middle ground, in the middle, what are we doing? What are we impacting? What are we, taking the time to do? That's why a lot of times, because I'm not a morning person. That's why I know, I understand. But I had to stop saying that because when anytime there's a need that I'm trying to help somebody else, it might be 6 o'clock, it might be 7 o'clock, it might be midnight, whatever. So such a time as this is so precious because we only have so much time, and we want to make sure that dash means something, right? We want to make sure that dash means something. So I think, I was going to say Lillian, but she's come. Like I said, we love technology, but we're going to go right to Mr. James. Now, James, like I was saying, it takes, we go through things. We deal through a lot of things in life before we get to what we're doing. So take us on just a little journey of yours on how you came from this magnificent author and your own co-author, your author in your own book. And I love how you have in your, I was going to say, because I thought this was really different, where it says global readership. I like that. That's different. That's unique. So give us a little take on your journey.
Sure. The title of my chapter is Beauty for Ashes, and unfortunately everybody goes through losses. Everybody experiences death at a certain degree. And I just wanted to, be able to articulate that there's life after death, and we're able to still continue and we're still able to put one foot in front of the other. I wanted to, kind of hold the reader by the hand and guide them and tell them that they're not alone in their journeys. And there is a day there's a date and time where you're able to smile again and you're able to laugh, because so many times in that process after a loss, we feel so guilty that we can't smile, we can't laugh anymore. We have to just be so, I don't know, we have to fit a particular mold. We have to be, sad, depressed, and that's all very true. But I wanted readers to know that, you could be happy. There is light at the end of the tunnel again. You just put that one foot in front of the other. You could be happy again. You can put a smile on your face. You could live again, and that's the best way to honor the ones we lost. It doesn't matter who it is, who it may be, what the relationship was. But the best way for us to honor them is those people brought us nothing but happiness. So, me particularly, I didn't want to honor my loved ones by just sadness, because they didn't bring me sadness. They brought me nothing but happiness. So I wanted the readers to know, there is life again. You can get back to it may not be your normal routine. It's going to be a new normal. The world is missing a person, and that's a big deal. So I wanted readers to know, just kind of ways that they could honor their loved ones, ways they can kind of navigate through life, perspectives, lessons, try to make a very big impact in a chapter, and I'm very thankful to Pastor Paulette for allowing me to kind of be able to pass that message along. I recognize the greatness she is. I recognize the title was amazing. Everything, like she just doesn't miss. She really doesn't, and it's an absolute pleasure to be on right by her, side by side with her on the other side of the screen. And this opportunity as well, I'm very thankful for it. So thank you.
Well, James, I love how you said, and I always say this too. So we're thinking like, we got these brains going here. We're all together here. Where you basically said, when you lose a loved one, a friend or family member, that we're going to be sad because, like I said, that's the emotions again. We're human. But like you said, we need to take one step forward and honor them by moving forward. Because they wouldn't want you just to sit back and just sob and just don't do anything. Like I said earlier, we have a uniqueness in us that we need to give to the world. And they wouldn't want you doing that. So I'm glad that you have that chapter and you're reminding everybody of that, that we need to put one foot before the other and just, keep it moving. It might be a little rocky at the beginning, but eventually you're going to keep reminding yourself on why you're doing it. So yes, you gave homage to that. So Miss Lillian.
Yes.
Lady Queen, tell us your backstory here. I know, you're the wonderful queen here, but I know there was some things going on. So just share a little bit with us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. just like you said in the beginning before you start the show, we all born with purpose. We all born like we have a reason to be in this world, and that's how I always feel. And I just want to thank you, Miss Paulette, and thank you for allowing us to be in your show. When I don't know, I get connected with Pastor Paulette again, but God work is wonder. I feel like it's time for me to share my story because I always want to share my story, but I just writing my old book is taking me forever, and I don't know how. So when she said it's only one chapter, 150, 1,500, I say, oh, that is, I can do that. And in my chapter, it's pretty much like I focus on women. I focus on how we women, we've been through abuse for over 1,000 years, and we still keep seeing this in our community, and we still keep going through what we are going through. And my chapter was like the castles will seem not to break because like my mom went through it, my grandma went through it, and I went through it, and I still see people in my community still going through it. And for just a time like this, it comes just a perfect time because with this COVID, the violence even increased. So I'm like, why not talk about it and bring the awareness to people so they can see the sign or know the sign or like know how to help people, so we can all like maybe break the curse, so we can live in this society where we as women feel valuable the same as men. I understand some of the men, they go through the same thing as well. But in my chapter, it's pretty much focused on how you can be aware of abuse and something that we've been through for so many times and how we can break it.
Ooh, lady, that See, sometimes I tell people you gotta just sit there and just get all the goodness of what people say. So I was just thinking, and I was, reading your bio a few days ago, and when it said that you just became American citizen 2014, so that's
Yes.
not that long ago. And look what you are doing now. Look at how power packed you are right now. And then on top of that, you're part of the Les Brown crew. And I was like, what? See, that just tells you right there, you can't make no excuses. I mean, like when I see you guys and I read, I say, you know what? Barbara can't make no excuse. Look what they're doing. What they doing? So again, lady, oh my God, just you coming over, being, like you said, you haven't been here that long and you have accomplished so much and you're being an example. And that's what it's all about. So I'm telling, that's why I said this is a gift to me today. You are my gifts today. I'm telling you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Mr. George.
Yes, ma'am.
Give us some backstory of you, King.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, Paulette is on something here, by looking at this particular topic from that specific Bible verse. I mean, you look at what's going on now in this world today. Everybody wants to talk about success. I mean, we all want to be successful, right? But there's been a tremendous amount of failure throughout not only our nation, but the world as a whole. I'm a retired, Army colonel. So I've been to 40 different countries. I've gotten an opportunity to see a number of things, over, several decades here. So when I look at the situations whereby we find ourselves today, I'm in the process of literally trying to transform people's minds to see that in order to become successful, everyone has to fail, right? So no one wants to talk about failure. I've had tons of failure. My first memory of failure was in the kindergarten. I don't know how many people fail kindergarten, but I managed to do that somehow, right? That's supposed to be a gimme, not for me. So I failed kindergarten. I failed the first grade, right? I failed virtually every grade thereafter. I barely graduated from high school. I ended up dropping out of 6 colleges and/or universities. Yet I went on to earn 4 degrees, 2 masters, Army War College, graduate. I was told I'd never be an Army officer. I was inducted into the Army Officer Candidate School Hall of Fame, in 2018. Now, what prefaced all of that? What happened is that along the way, I learned how to change my mindset to see failure as positive, right, as opposed to the negative. Failure really doesn't exist. I mean, think about this for a second. And I covered this in my book, and also in the chapter here, is that when kids are given a task or a goal by which they want to attain, here's what they do. One or two things. We either figure it out or we just kind of move on to something else. We never ever consider it failure, right? Until someone tells us, you're a failure. You're no good. You're not of value. You have no worth. God never says that, right? That comes totally from man. And what we do is we take that and we internalize that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of depression. I mean, you take some of the Asian countries, and kids are literally killing themselves because they can't get into universities because they're failing. Failure has really stymied people in a way in which I don't believe it was designed for. So if we can take, from a positive perspective, in which I have, every modicum of success that I've obtained has been a direct correlation and relationship to how I respond to my failure. I've always responded to them after a while in a positive manner. So I get excited about failing because when I fail, I know that I'm going to do what? I'm going to learn something. I'm going to be able to get better. I'm going to be able to change direction in life, right? And I'm going to become successful. If one wants to become successful, he or she must walk through the doorway. So if we could just only get people to understand that failure is the greatest resource on the planet, it would transform not only this country, not only our lives, but the planet.
Ooh, there's some wisdom coming out this morning. Well, first of all, King George, thank you, first of all, for serving this country. I have to do that. I have to make sure that you know that.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
And I love your title, The Failure Coach. What did I say earlier about uniqueness? That's uniqueness. And everything that you said, I mean, I was just thinking about how you said, from when you were a child and you were kind of, you were going through, I didn't graduate from here. I dropped out here. But again, you didn't let that stop you. See, a lot of people would have been like, I'm done. I can't, this is not working. I just don't know what's going on. But you said, nope, I'm not doing that. And see, that's one thing I want to touch with everybody too a little bit, because, it's one thing to say, I was here and then now I'm here. I'm doing these great things in the world. But a lot of times, that's why I always ask people, what made that turn? Where did it come where you made that turn to say, I'm not going to go left. I want to go right, and I want to go the right way to help. So with that, George, it's coming back to you because you're talking about failure. What made you just decide to turn that table and say, you know what, I might be, not doing well in school, drop out and everything, but there's something here I need to change.
Yes, thank you again, Barbara. Yeah, well, it was really a singular event for me, and it was after I, fell out of college. I literally had no options in terms of where I actually grew up. I grew up in East Rural Texas. My parents were teenagers, both of them. Not formally educated in any sort of way whatsoever. So I didn't have a really good foundation for education speaking academically. So I ended up barely graduating in high school. I actually had to take a correspondence course just to graduate. Because I was such a decent athlete, I was just kind of passed along the way. So I never established that foundation, educationally speaking. So I ended up failing out of college and ended up trying to get into the military. I literally failed to get into the Air Force twice, couldn't get a score high enough to gain entry. And then I had to take the Army ASVAB about 3 times. On the third time, I actually, passed that. But even up until that point, Barbara, I was still, depressed, angry, just upset because I thought, I wasn't equipped. God can give me everything I need to be equipped to be able to go out and do the kinds of things that I believe that I could actually do, right? So ended up in the Army as a direct relation to failing out of college. And one day, now I grew up hunting and fishing. That's how we ate. That's how we survived in East Rural Texas. So I could fire a weapon, no issues, right? I get the basic training. And we have to, one of the tasks in basic Army combat training is you have to fire a weapon system. So I'll go to the weapons qualification range, and I failed miserably. Now wait a minute, hold on. Look, I'm a hunter, dude. I can fire a weapon. This is not right. It was a different type of firing weapon system. So another failure throughout my life, right? So up until that point in time, it's just failures is just overwhelming. This singular event happened when I went back to my barracks later that night. And Sergeant First Class George Gaither, big brother, about 6'3", 250 pounds, saw me moping around the barracks, head down, feeling sorry for myself. And Sergeant First Class Gaither, my platoon sergeant, comes to me and says, "Private Milton, what's the problem here, son?" And I shared, my background and experience in terms of all the failure. And this is what he said that literally transformed my mindset to see failure as something is good and positive and has value. He says, failure is not the problem. It's how you respond to the failure. Right now, that actually, right, catapulted me to literally change my mindset. It began in that singular event and just throughout my life. Now, as it began then, when I failed or something, I just see that, look, maybe God's trying to get my attention to go in a different direction. And unfortunately, people are stuck in situations that they probably shouldn't be in because we have given them the impression that if you don't win, you're not of value. There's no such thing as win only. That's craziness. But that's what we've been taught, right? Most of us have been told that we can do anything. That's not true. You can do a lot of things, but you can't do anything and everything. See, God has given us what? Something I call our TGSAs, our talents, our gifts, our skills, and our abilities. And if we focus on those, then our chances of becoming successful are a lot greater than they would otherwise be, in my view.
Oh, I love when you said is how you respond to what you're dealing with, what you're going through the failure. And I think that's the key. That's the key. It's like, are you going to be a victim of it or are you going to be victorious? We hear that a lot too. And you got to make that decision. You got to respond to, what's happening in life. So before we get to, I want to hear from James and Lillian on, their turn of events in their lives too. But we got to make our sponsors happy. So we're gonna bring them on real quick, and then we will be right back.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo Buddy for Life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for Life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
And we are back. We are back. And if you're just tuning in, and hopefully you're just not tuning in because this has been just a phenomenal show. Yes, it has. I'm going to say it. We have the wonderful and amazing co-authors in such a time as this that's coming out November, first weekend in November. So get ready to get your credit card. Yes, I'm saying that, to buy this wonderful book, because these wonderful authors, these gems, these kings and queens, and then the queen herself, the visionary Mrs. Pastor P, has put this together for the world. And we are talking to some of these authors and learning a little bit about them. And we left off with George really talking about, it's how you respond to things. So I want to go to Miss Queen Lily, and just to understand, because I know, you, like I said, you've been here not that long, but there's something told you, I want to, be this motivational speaker. What turned that table? I mean, for you to do that, there was something there.
Thank you again for your question. We all born in this world with something. And if you trust God, you'll find your reason why. When I was young, my mother laid a strong foundation in my family where, because I grew up Catholic. So every Sunday before she go to the garden, she will gather all her children together because she was a single mother. And we will worship before she left us home. And here I am in my little self. I believe I was 5 years old, but I always curious. I have one dress, no shoes. So when my mom left, my neighbor will go to church, but I will go get my one dress, put it on, and follow my neighbor to church. And I always sit there, see how, the father priest and all those. I always curious and wanted to know more, like, what is this about this God, and if this God is really this great, why do we live like this? So I always have this question in my mind, living in a village. When I see the plane, because when you see the airplane fly, it like really small, like a bird. It's all the way in the sky. I always I wonder how I feel like. I wonder where it's going and what is it about it. I always have questions, and I believe my imagination the one bring us to US because I'm always curious. So when I come here, I get pregnant in high school, and they have to do arranged marriage. So when I married this man, I find out we are completely two different people living in the same house. And I'm just like, I look back in our history, how I see, women being beat and all those things. And I'm like, why do we always live like this? What is it about life that I feel like there's always more out there? And how can I do it? And when I look around my community, Sudanese community in America, we are all suffering. And, the wheel started turning in my head. And I said, okay, nobody out there can come to rescue us. Somebody have to rise from the community to rescue the community. And then, I start looking around. I said, okay, nobody's helping me. Nobody is helping us. So that means I have to do it. I have to rise up and help my community. And that when the wheel turned, and that when I decided enough is enough, I will do whatever it takes to help my community. But I didn't know that my stepping out will help the world, not only my community.
Ooh, see, so I keep telling people sometimes you got to sit in this wisdom, and how that's why I like to dig, because this is where the real jewels come in at, where you see where those decisions were made to create this impact. Lillian, you are a leader. You are truly a leader in what you're doing.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And you just said, you know what? You're looking around, you look this way, you looked over there, you're like, well, it looks like I got to step up. Looks like I need to do this. Looks like no one else is kind of, we're all kind of sitting here in the same place. I know you were like, no, a change has to happen. I think that's what's happening in our mind when we look around and we say, okay, there's some changes that are needed. Maybe I am the one, or even I could be just a little part of it. Everybody's going to play their role in it. So thank you for stepping up and being that leader in what you do. So Mr. James, I look at you as the person to say, like you said, we taking one foot in the other and we moving forward there. But I know there was something that just told you, to make that little turn. So what was it? What was that?
I would say after a couple of years after losing my fiance to cancer, her battle with cancer, I would say I was definitely going through it. I think like so many of us would if we lost our significant other. It probably was like about 2 years of a dark place. physically just going through the motions of life, but mentally just checked out. Always keeping eyes to the sky, just not, zombie like, just kind of just going through it. And day in and day out, I went through different layers of like, the suffering, depression, it hurts, and then very similar to Lillian here, you look to your left and right and nothing's being done, and you it blows your mind that the world's still going. You think to yourself, man, I just lost the love of my life and the world's still going, the same people I would see at the gym, they were still working out, the same community members were still continuing on with the routine, but it felt like just my world stopped, and I understand the concept of it, in the bigger picture here, the world would be stuck still if we all, take a second to acknowledge every person that we ever lost, Fortunately, somebody's hearing the news as we speak right now, so I was just going through it, And then one day, very similar to what I was saying, or what I said earlier is, I just thought to myself, like, man, I've been crying gallons and gallons of tears. Like, I just can't do this anymore. I've had so many conversations. I sound like a broken record to so many. I was just like, I just can't do this anymore. I really just can't continue to honor her. But being sad, that's not what she did for me. She didn't bring me sadness. She brought me nothing but happiness, pushed me forward. She really held me down like an anchor. And I was just like, man, she did so many great things for me. She shaped me as the man I am today. Even prior to a loss, just, she made me the person I am. And I think I was just only honoring her by sadness. And I was like, it just got to stop. And then just one day I swore to, and I don't know, like on a cold, in a California cold winter day, probably 60 or 70 degrees, but I was just like, it's got to stop. I gotta pick myself up. And, I said, enough is enough, Let's start honoring her, her legacy and so many other ones I've lost, so many loved ones I've lost, by happiness, When people ask about this, let me tell them about some of the funny interactions we would have, some of the good memories, some of the good times. And it just step by step. And I started thinking, you know what, on her last day, of course, as I said my goodbyes to her, I promised her that I would continue to honor her legacy, And I was like, I think it's time. I think I'm in that place mentally where I could start doing that. I could start articulating and I could start going to the feels, the emotions, what that feels like, And as I said, it's not just my story, our story together is from the male's perspective, but it's transcendent. It can go to any gender, any perspective. It could touch so many lives, and that's what I wanted to do. And I started putting pen to pad and start, word by word and telling the story and helping to make an impact. And it was just that cold California day where I just said enough was enough. And here I am today.
Wow, James. I just think about it. I'm like you said, from a man's perspective. I love how you said that because a lot of times I know men are strong. I mean, strong, and they feel like just shouldn't, go in that deep place, and they're supposed to always be, And you said, look, I'm a man, but hey, I got feelings. This hurts right now. I lost my loved one, my my other half. My fiance. It's gonna, I'm dwelling here. But then you decide to say, okay, I'm showing my emotions, but then I need to make a decision. Just going back to that, how do you react? Just like how George was saying. And you reacted by saying, I can't keep doing. Somewhere down the line, I know I got to do better than this. And not just for myself, but for others that need that. So, I always tell everybody, you're all a lighthouse to the world. You're a lighthouse to the world because you're bringing them back to show them that, we all been through things, a lot of things going on in our lives, but you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay there. So thank you so much, James, for, being that strong, really showing the men how strong you can be by showing your emotions and being there and say, hey, you can move forward. And I did. And let's just take this on. Now, I know we just have this a little bit more time. Let this time go by quick. See, my gifts are leaving me. Oh, no. But before we do that, I want to just go around one more time. I want you first to give, and I love to hear people's favorite word that they go to. So I want you to give one word that just resonates with you in your life, just one word, and then how they can contact you, because you're not only co-authors in a book, but you have your own businesses, you're doing your own impacting what you do in the world, and people would probably might want to come talk to you, and you can talk to them, or they become a client or a business partner or whatever, a new friend. So just give me your power word and then how they can contact you. Then we're gonna close it up with Pastor P there. Let's go back to James.
Sure. My thing, me and Pastor Paul came up with it is, every day you take one step forward, you're turning tragedy into triumph, and that's what I continue to live by, and I continue to display it on a day-to-day basis. Where you can contact me at is just about every social media platform in my name, James Rubagava. You can find me there, interact with me, book me for any sort of speaking, any events, any volunteer work, any way to give back to the community. You can find me on my website, jamesrubagava.com. And feel free to connect with me. I'm always just one call, one text, one email away from helping somebody. You just never know when somebody needs you. So I'm ready. I'm made available. So please feel free to contact me.
Okay, like I tell people, there's no excuse. He gave you his information. He's there for you. He wants to help. I'm talking to the listeners out there. Okay, Ms. Lily, what's your power phrase or word that you use in your life and how they can contact you?
I have many words, but this time in my life, I believe it's discipline. I think we have to be disciplined. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you go through. If you can be disciplined to work hard on yourself, you can become anybody that God created you to be. You can go to my website, lilianokesh.com, and you can order the book from there. Lilian Okesh is LILIANOKECH.com. And I run a cleaning business here in Iowa, and we have a computer center in South Sudan. So if you want to support those young girls in South Sudan to build their confidence, to know that they are enough and they are queen, you can go in my website and send me an email. I believe I cannot change the world by myself, but together we will change the world.
Ooh, yes. Come on now. Together we can change the world. See, you starting me up and we're about to try to end this thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? That means I got to bring people back. That's what that's about. So again, reach out. See, that she's doing that. She just threw something else in there that she's doing. You keep up with people here. Wow. Okay, Mr. George, Colonel King, tell us that one word that resonates with you. And
Yes,
how they
yes.
can
Well,
contact
let me
you.
start by saying, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I thought you were done, Beverly. But look, I must say, just thanks to Paulette for being a visionary, to pull something together such as this. And what powerful stories that we've heard from Lily and James, man. These are really, really inspiring for me. I mean, I got chills here now just listening to the things that you've actually done and the experiences you've actually had. And it's really interesting to me, right, as I listen to your stories and your experiences and your backgrounds, there's been failures, right? But you've not allowed for those failures to keep you back. In fact, you allow for those failures unknowingly to propel you to where you are today. So in order for one to transform, he or she must fail. In order for one to become successful, he or she must fail. In order for one to get from where they are to where they're supposed to be and where God means for them to be, he or she must fail. So the one word for me is always failure. Thank you.
Oh, and how they can contact you, King?
Oh, you know what? Thank you so much. I get so excited about talking about the message. Sometimes I forget to tell people I'm in contact, huh?
I know.
Yeah, thank you so much for the reminder. Yeah, I can simply be contacted at George at georgeamilton.com. I say again, George at georgeamilton.com, or they can reach out to my website. That's just www.georgeamilton.com. Thank you.
Thank you, King. Thank you, King and Queens. Now we're gonna get to like the biggest queen here, Miss Pastor P. Lady, you just bringing the jewels here. So, real quickly, I just want you to tell everybody about what that one word is, and then just a little bit, just give just one idea on if somebody out there is thinking about putting their story in pen and paper. What is like the first thing they should do besides come to you and get it done?
Okay. Well, once again, Queen Barbara, thank you so much for having us on. I would say that my word would be intentional. And you really have to be intentional in this life that we're living. I mean, and be purposeful in doing it. And so, pushing through and just having focus and being fierce about it, but really being intentional about doing life. And I didn't say my chapter. My chapter is titled "When the Blessings Come Through Pain," and so I talk about my divorce and what that led, how that led me through life, and what I'm doing today. How somebody would just really start writing, in addition to hiring me to help them, is really getting the clarity that they need on their story, and deciding on which story that they want to write, and then outlining it as well. And so that's really one of the pivotal points where an author has to really start on getting the clarity of what it is that they want to share in their book, and then how do they go about sharing that? How do they go about writing it and being articulate in what they want to share with readers? And so people can connect with me on my website, which is pauletteharper.com. Of course, here on Facebook, Esther Paulette Harper, Pastor P. I'm on Clubhouse, Paulette Harper, and then also on Twitter. I would like to just add that look for the release for such a time as this on November the 9th. Yes, November the 9th. And so the ebook will be released that day. We're really going to push for bestseller in many categories. So please put that on your radar. We're going to have the release party, the virtual release party on Saturday, November the 13th. That's going to be amazing because you'll have all the authors coming together on that one day, giving their power talk about their story and, what it means to just really live in for such a time as this. And so I'm looking forward to having all of the authors on one platform and everyone sharing their own authentic story about, this process. And then I'm going to be also having another interest call for another book for 2022 that I'm going to be launching called The Breaking Point, because we've all had that breaking point in life. And I want to be able to share those stories because those are powerful, powerful stories, because there is one thing that happened in us that caused us to break, caused us to say, you know what? I'm done. Enough is enough. And I want to be able to bring 2022 to the authors where they can share their story called The Breaking Point. So I'll be doing some interest calls starting in November. So those of you who are, thinking about being part of an anthology and working with me, you'll have the opportunity to do that as well. And Barbara, I'll give you all that information in the comments after this broadcast.
Wonderful. I was just about to say that. Please give me all that good information so we can share that out and have people, if they want to be in another, in a book that you're doing, another book that they can share their story with. Yes, that definitely they need to know that. And I love how you said clarity when you were giving like the first tip. But besides, like I said, hiring you to get their book done, but clarity. You have to be clear in what you want to say. Because like I said, this is not just, you putting your story out there. People want to know so they know how to move forward, giving them steps to move forward. So clarity is the key. Ooh, and persistence. Well, you know what? This has been a good day. This has been an awesome day. I hope it was worth Queens and Kings to get up and come on the show and just be here, just shining. Because y'all shining. And I know the diamond factor. I know I threw it in because I'm the diamond factor, but it's true. You're all shining. You're shining like diamonds, and keep doing the work that people need you, because people need each and every one of you. George, James, Lillian, Pastor P, we need you. We definitely need you. And again, I congratulate you, and hopefully I could be at the release party. I'm excited. I want to hear all the authors. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. It's going to be a party. So everybody, just to let you know, you've been listening to For Such a Time as This, the contributing authors and the wonderful visionary, Pastor P. Paulette, bringing on the heat here this morning on Friday. And please have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Next week, we will definitely have our experts come on. Rodney, and Regina, talking about leadership and just motivating your life to make sure that middle, like we said earlier, I said much earlier, that middle part, that dash, you're doing something to impact the world. Thank you so much, everybody. And I say, I wish many, many, and I'm going to say this, blessings upon your life. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.